and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be talking about something that I think is really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the role of visa in global education.
Okay.
So I know what you're thinking,
Yeah.
Visa credit cards.
Right.
But it's actually a lot more than that.
It really is.
So we're going to be going deep today into how Visa's services are actually impacting the lives of students all around the world.
Yeah, and I think we'll find some pretty surprising things as we dig into this.
Absolutely.
So I know when we think about, studying abroad, and especially the financial side of things,
Right.
Visa plays a pretty big role.
Yeah.
Their payment systems are really key to kind of opening up those opportunities and making it possible for students to actually go and study in another country.
It's so true, because I remember when I was thinking about studying abroad, one of the first things I thought about was
The money.
the money.
Yeah.
How am I going to manage all that?
Yeah.
How am I going to pay for tuition? How am I going to pay for living expenses?
All the application fees.
All the application fees, exactly.
And, especially for students coming from countries that maybe don't have the same kind of financial infrastructure as some other places.
Right.
It can be really challenging to manage all that.
Yeah, it's a huge barrier.
But Visa's systems make it a lot easier, a lot more secure. So it really opens up the possibility for a lot of students.
That's what I think is so cool about it, is that it really is about accessibility.
Absolutely.
And like you said, leveling the playing field.
Yeah.
So that everybody has a chance to pursue their education.
Exactly.
So we've talked about the financial side of things, but what about the actual visa application process?
Well, that's a whole other beast.
Right.
It can be really complicated.
Bet.
But Visa's doing some interesting things there, too.
Really?
Yeah. So let's look at the Australian Student Visa Subclass 500
Okay.
as an example.
Okay.
So this is a visa that a lot of students use to study in Australia.
Right.
But the application process can be pretty tough.
Yeah.
A lot of documents you need,
Oh, I'm sure.
a lot of requirements.
Yeah, I remember it being quite a lot of paperwork.
Oh, yeah. You've got financial documents. You've got your acceptance letter.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to prove that you have health insurance.
Right.
It can be a lot.
Yeah.
But Visa has these streamlined payment solutions that actually make that process a lot easier.
Oh, interesting.
So, for example, you might have to pay your tuition fees up front
Right.
as part of your visa application.
Yeah.
And if you think about doing that with traditional bank transfers,
Oh, God.
currency conversions,
The fees.
the fees, exactly.
Waiting.
All the waiting.
Ugh.
But Visa just makes it so much faster
Okay.
and so much easier.
Yeah, less stress.
Yeah.
Fewer delays.
Exactly. And that's crucial
Yeah.
when you're, trying to get everything in order to move to another country.
Absolutely.
And that efficiency actually carries over to other parts of the application process too.
Okay.
So, for example, Visa works closely with educational institutions to help students get their confirmation of enrollment quickly and easily,
Right.
which is a key document for proving they've been accepted into their program.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because it's kind of like taking all those administrative hurdles
Exactly.
and just like tossing them out the window so that students can actually focus on what matters.
Yeah, focus on their education
Yeah,
and not worry about all that other stuff.
absolutely. So once students are in Australia and they've gotten through all of that, how does Visa help them stay on top of all the requirements?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Mhm.
Because it's not over once you get the visa.
No,
You have to make sure you're meeting all the requirements
Yeah.
to stay in the country.
like attendance, academic
so
progress,
Academic progress, all
all
that.
good stuff.
Yeah. So Visa actually works with the institutions to share really important information
Oh, okay.
about those requirements.
Okay.
So they're really proactive
Yeah,
about making sure that students know what they need to do.
Yeah.
They even provide tools
really?
to help students track their progress
Oh, wow.
and make sure they're meeting those requirements.
So it's like a built-in support system to make
Yeah.
sure that you don't accidentally mess
Yeah.
something up.
Yeah, you don't want to jeopardize your visa
Right.
by, not going to class or
Right.
not getting good enough grades or whatever it might be.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about two other things that I think cause a lot of anxiety for students studying abroad, and that's health insurance and
yeah.
proving that you have sufficient financial resources.
Yeah, those are big ones.
Big ones, huge.
Non-negotiables.
Yes, and potentially really confusing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So let's start with health insurance.
Okay.
So in Australia,
Yeah.
all international students are required to have something called OGRHIS, Overseas Student Health Cover, or OSHC.
Right.
And that's because, medical costs could be really unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to be caught
In a foreign country.
in a foreign country without coverage. So Visa actually makes the process of getting OSHC
Oh, okay.
really easy
Oh, good.
and paying for it
Okay.
so that students can be sure that they're covered
Right.
and they don't run into any problems
Yeah.
with their visa.
Because it's not just about checking the box.
Right. It's about actually making sure the students have
Have the coverage.
the coverage they need
Yeah.
and have peace of mind.
Exactly.
And then there's the financial part.
Right. Proving that you can support yourself.
Exactly.
Well
So you usually need to show that you have enough money
Mm-hmm.
to cover your tuition,
Right.
living expenses, and all the other costs.
Yeah. I remember having to like dig up bank statements and
Yeah.
proof of scholarships and
It's a lot of paperwork.
yeah, it was a whole thing.
And this is where Visa's technology really comes in handy.
Oh, okay. How so?
So they have these digital platforms
Mm-hmm.
that provide a much more streamlined and transparent way
Okay.
to manage and show your financial situation. So think like digital statements
Mm-hmm.
that clearly lay out your financial resources.
Yeah.
So it's easier to show immigration officials that you can support yourself.
So it's basically like taking the guesswork out of it
Yeah,
for everybody.
exactly.
So there's that clarity there.
Yeah, transparency is key.
Yeah. And speaking of finances, let's talk about work opportunity.
Oh, yeah, the age-old question.
Because students need to know how to pay for all of this.
Exactly. You got to fund those adventures abroad somehow.
Right.
And Visa plays a role here, too.
Okay.
So they have resources and information to help students understand their work options
Oh, okay.
while they're studying.
Cool.
So, for example, in Australia,
Mm-hmm.
students can usually work up to 20 hours a week
Okay.
during the semester.
Which is great because it allows them to get some
To
experience
make
and
some connections.
and make some money.
You make some monies. Yeah, it's a win-win.
Exactly.
And for those students who want to stay in Australia after they graduate, Visa also helps them explore options,
Okay.
like the post-study work visa extension,
Okay.
which can let them work for a few more years
Oh, wow.
and maybe even build a career in Australia.
That's fantastic. So it's really about supporting students throughout their whole journey, not just during their studies, but
Yeah, setting them up for success
yeah.
in their careers.
Wow. It's amazing to think about how something that started with credit cards has evolved into this incredible support system
It really is.
for international students.
It is, and there's even more to it.
I bet.
As we dig deeper,
Yeah.
we'll find even more ways that Visa is shaping the future of global education.
I'm excited to find out more.
Me too. It's a fascinating topic,
Yeah,
and it's one that has a real impact on people's lives.
absolutely.
So let's keep going.
Let's do it. It's amazing how much support Visa provides for students all the way through their studies abroad.
It really is.
We've talked about finances, we've talked about getting the visa, we even talked about work opportunities, but what about staying on track with their studies?
Oh, that's so important,
Right.
especially for international students.
Yeah, because that's tied to their visa status.
Exactly. You have to keep making good progress
Right.
in your program.
So how does Visa help with that?
Well, they play a role behind the scenes, you
Okay.
could say. They work with both the students and the institutions.
Okay, so what does that look like?
So they work with the schools to make sure they have all the information they need to track students' progress.
Okay.
It's called Satisfactory Course Progress Monitoring.
Right. So that's like tracking attendance and grades.
Yeah, and overall performance.
Okay.
Just making sure they're meeting the requirement.
Of their visa.
Exactly.
Wow. So it's really a comprehensive system
It is.
to make sure that students are supported.
Yeah. It keeps everyone accountable, both the students and the institutions.
Right.
Students need to know they can't just slack off.
Yeah.
And the schools need to know who's struggling.
Right. So they can help.
Exactly. It's like a safety net to make sure no one falls through the cracks.
I like that, a safety net. And Visa also empowers students
Yes?
to manage their own visas.
Oh, right. Have you heard of VEVO?
VEVO rings a bell. Refresh my memory.
Visa Entitlement Verification Online.
Okay.
It's a website where visa holders
Yeah.
can check their visa details.
So students can use this.
Yes. Anyone with a visa can.
Okay, cool.
So they can see when it expires, any conditions on the visa.
Oh, that's super convenient.
It's so much easier than calling immigration
Oh my gosh, yes.
or digging through paperwork.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can't forget about online learning.
Oh, right. The world has changed.
Yeah, a lot of education is happening online now.
And for international students, it adds a whole other layer of complexity.
Yeah, for sure. So how is Visa adapting to that?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is payments.
Right, because you're often paying across borders.
Exactly. And traditional methods can be really slow
And expensive.
and unreliable.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But Visa's system makes it easy.
Okay.
Students can pay for online courses, no matter where they are.
It's huge.
It makes online learning accessible to so many more people.
It really does. And it means they can learn from anywhere, from any institution.
Exactly. It breaks down so many barriers.
Yeah, and that's good for everyone. It makes the world more connected.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about individual students, it's about the impact on the world.
It's about building a better future. And one of the things I find really inspiring is that Visa isn't just focused on the practical side of things.
Okay.
They also care about the human element,
What do you mean?
the personal growth,
Okay.
the cultural exchange, the experiences that shape students' lives.
It's not just about transactions, it's about people.
It's about empowering students
Yeah.
to become global citizens.
And that's something we all benefit from.
Exactly, when we have more people who are open to the world,
Yeah.
who understand different cultures. It makes the world a better place.
It does.
And when we look at the big picture, Visa's role in global education is part of something much bigger.
Right.
It's about creating a more inclusive world, a more connected world.
And ultimately a better world.
Exactly.
I think we often take these systems for granted. We don't think about what makes global education possible.
It's easy to overlook.
But when you stop and think about it, the impact is huge.
It really is.
And Visa deserves a lot of credit for their role in this.
Absolutely. They're not just facilitating transactions. They're creating opportunities.
Yeah.
They're empowering individuals.
And they're helping to build a more connected world.
And this is just scratching the surface of it.
There's so much more to explore.
Exactly.
This has been such an interesting conversation.
It has.
It's amazing to see how something that started with simplifying payments has evolved into this incredible support system.
It really shows the power of innovation and a global perspective.
Yeah, and as we continue to explore the world of global education, it's clear that Visa will be a big part of its future.
Absolutely. They're a driving force behind its growth and evolution.
Yeah, it really is inspiring to see a company like Visa, really going above and beyond just thinking about profits and using their resources to have this positive impact on the world.
Yeah, it shows that they get it. That supporting education, especially global education, it benefits everyone in the long run.
Right.
It's like investing in the future.
Absolutely.
A more innovative future.
Yeah.
A more understanding future. A more diverse workforce.
Yeah. It's planting those seeds for a brighter future for all of us.
I like that analogy.
So for anyone listening who might be thinking about studying abroad, what's one piece of advice you'd give them?
Oh, that's a good question. Based on what we've talked about today, I would say don't let the complexity of studying abroad scare you away.
Right.
There's a lot of support out there. Visa's a big part of that. They're making it easier.
Yeah.
They're making it more accessible. So focus on the excitement.
Right.
Focus on the experience. Focus on the personal growth. Immerse yourself in a new culture. Embrace the challenge.
And know that you have resources and support to help you navigate all the tricky stuff.
Exactly. Visa's got your back.
I love that. So it's really about sending that message to students that the world needs you.
Yeah.
We need people who are willing to step outside their comfort zones, embrace new perspectives, and build those connections.
Absolutely.
To create a more understanding global community.
Well said.
So if someone wants to learn more about Visa and global education, where should they go?
Check out Visa's website.
Yeah.
They have a whole section dedicated to this topic.
Okay.
You can find inspiring stories about students, about institutions, and about the impact they're making all over the world.
Fantastic. We'll include a link to that in the show notes. This deep dive has been so eye-opening. It's incredible to see the role Visa is playing in shaping the future of global education.
It really is.
And creating a more connected and diverse world.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure talking about this with you. It's a conversation that we need to have more often.
Eh.
I hope our listeners will keep exploring this topic and think about how businesses can contribute to a brighter future.
Yeah, and to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this fascinating journey. Remember, the pursuit of knowledge is a lifelong adventure, so keep exploring, keep learning, and keep an open mind to all the possibilities that lie ahead.
Well said. Until next time. Keep those minds curious and those hearts open to the world.